Hey everyone, welcome back. I am here with the second half of my July wrap up. I managed to read 5 books. One is huge, so I'm counting that. And then my husband was kind enough to give me a stomach flu, so I got to deal with that for a couple of days. But instead of talking about my digestion, let's just get on with the books that I read. First book that I completed after I spoke to you guys last was Pretties by Scott Westerfeld. I gave this book 3.5 stars. I can't tell you anything about it. It is the second book, but it is a dystopian series where at the age of 16 people are turned pretty and they kind of get to like have fun and party, and then like their lives go on, and you know, it's dystopian, it's whatever. I liked it enough to want to continue on with the series. I actually have the third book out at the moment from my Overdrive app, so I will be listening to that one and hopefully you'll see it in next month's wrap up. This is another book that I listened to, but I do own a physical copy, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't read the book because I didn't really like it that much, and that is Lost Voices by Sarah Porter. It is about a girl named Luce who she has had a bit of a crap life. Like, her father was a con man and they were traveling around, and she moved to Alaska with him, and she was living with her dad and her dad's brother, her uncle, and her dad was working on a fishing boat, and one day the boats went out and they never came back. So her father is presumed dead. She's kind of a burden on her uncle. Her uncle's a drunk and a piece of shit, pushes her around a bit, and one night it kind of comes to a head and her uncle attacks her, and the next thing Luce knows, she's in the ocean and she's singing and she wrecks a ship, and she's scolded by the head of this mermaid clan that's kind of in her area, and finds out that she's become a mermaid. And my problem with this book is that a lot of stuff wasn't explained. In the first half of the book it was super dark and quite interesting, like it was looking like it could be a 3.5 or even a 4-star for me, and then the complete tone of it just changed. Another character is introduced and it becomes like this kind of, you know, not even like a really well done trashy teenage fest. I participated in the International Buddyathon with Lisa from Books and Smiles. It was so much fun. She snapped me up as her buddy and we had a lot of fun doing it. I didn't get to do a TBR video because by this point I was in bed sick, and we read, for one of the books, one of the challenges was to read a book centered around friendship, so we decided to read Pretty Little Liars by Sarah Shepard. I gave this book 1 star. I have watched the first 4 seasons of the television show, and my main problem from day one with those books is always going to be the same. I'm never going to change my mind about it, and that is the accepted attitude of men in positions of power abusing teenage girls. This book does exactly the same thing. This whole book, like, I think it's 250 pages, and it's basically just the pilot episode of the television show. I could definitely, like, I would love Pretty Little Liars, like the book series, because I know that it just gets crazier and stupider. The show just focuses way too much on the main relationship of a teacher being in a relationship with a student. That's not a relationship, that's illegal and you should be in jail. There's no consequences for any of these things. In this book there is a doctor who is like in his mid-20s starting a relationship with a 15-year-old girl, and it all goes on like that, you know, like throughout the course of the television show. I'm not too sure about the books. There's like police officers and everyone, like every sort of person in a position of power is just in inappropriate relationships with these people. So I had to give this book 1 star just because it followed that exact same formula and I wasn't comfortable with it. I don't think I'll be continuing on with the series, but we read it and I know that Lisa feels the same way as I do. This next book, I have no idea why I picked it up. Maybe because everyone on my Facebook was talking about how the show was returning, and I watched the first season. I didn't like the show, but I read this book and I gave it 5 stars, and that is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. This book is so huge. I don't know how people read physical books. Like, when I was at the end, like, I was like, my wrist hurts, my fingers hurt from reading it. How do you even describe this book? It's just about like men starting wars. I will continue on with the series. I did find it very interesting. I know that it's huge and like the font is so freaking small. Like, let me just show you. I don't want to like spoil you. Okay, so that's the prologue. But that's tiny. Like, it's so small, and it doesn't feel like it drags. Like, it just kind of works really well and it's a good story and I really enjoyed it. I just want to warn people that I know a couple of people's complaints about this. They really like the character of Daenerys, and in the book she doesn't really appear that much. Like in the show she's given a way bigger part, even though her story arc is absolutely important. Just her chapters are kind of really spread out. So if you haven't read the book and you want to do it because you really like Dani, just be warned about that. I know that a couple of people have said that in their Goodreads reviews and in subsequent books and things like that. So yeah, like every character is as important as the other, and it's pretty easy to follow, and a lot of the things, like, you know, they're easy to pronounce. And then the last book that I finished this month was a buddy read that I did with Lisa for the International Buddyathon, and it was read a book set in a place that isn't your own country. And of course we had to invite Jen along from Today in Jen's Library because I can't do anything without her. And we read Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welsh, I'm pretty sure. I really wanted to love this book. I love like a summer contemporary romance, you know that, guys. I just gobble that shit up. I gave this book 3 stars on Goodreads, but it's more like a 2.5 star book. I just felt like it was sloppy. Like there was just some things like I just couldn't help but fixate on. There was a lot of characters that didn't really serve a purpose, that you thought was going to be more of an impact, but it wasn't. This is about a girl named Lena. She has been sent to Italy by her mum to spend the summer with her dad, and probably live with him because her mum has passed away from cancer. But Lena had never known her father up until this summer. She meets a boy, she meets 2 boys, so of course, like, you just can't have one love interest. It's only 260 pages as well. The book takes place in the space of a week. I had like a lot of things, like there was a lot of really dumb dialogue. Like Lena at one point is really shocked that Howard, her father, can speak fluent Italian, but he's been living in Italy for 17 years. There's another scene where Lena is out, she's a long distance runner, like that's her thing. I don't even feel like I really connected to her or knew anything about her. Her thing is that she's a runner and she, like, you know, eats a lot subsequently because she runs like 40 miles a week. So Lena's out running and these 2 like Italian guys drive past in the car and they're like yelling stuff out at her, and she gets freaked out and runs away because obviously like that's a normal reaction to it. And then not even 5 pages later she's gone for another run and she's started talking to this guy and like goes to his house with him. I'm like, what? Like it just, there were little bits and pieces like that that I just couldn't fully embrace, and I wanted more. So those are all of the books that I read in the second half of July. Let me know in the comments down below, guys, if you've read any of these, if you want to read any of these, and you know that I love talking to you, so I will see you in my next video. Lots of love, hugs and kisses. Mwah! Bye.